Poverty is a bastard. Shiloh, I didn't leave because he cheated. I left because of who he cheated on me with. It was my younger cousin, Lark. She was someone who had been a constant presence in our lives for years. Every holiday season, she would arrive at our door with that same eager smile, suitcases in hand, expecting the warmth and security that our home always provided. I had fed her at my table countless times. I had taken care of her when she needed guidance, even defended her in front of other family members when they questioned her choices or her future. I remember those moments clearly, standing up for her, insisting that she deserved every opportunity. I went further than that. I pulled strings at my firm to secure her an entry-level position because I knew they paid recent graduates a decent wage, one that could give her a real start. She stayed in my house for the entire duration of the program, occupying the guest room as if it were her own. I made sure she had everything she needed, meals prepared, bills covered, a stable environment while she found her footing. I treated her not as a distant relative, but as family in the truest sense. When I found out, I didn't scream. I didn't cry immediately. I simply sat there in the quiet of our living room, the city lights of Chicago flickering beyond the windows, and tried to comprehend how such profound betrayal could come from two people I had never expected it from. The messages, the photos, the careful timestamps, all of it laid bare on my phone screen. It was not merely infidelity. It was a violation of trust that cut deeper than I could have imagined. Do you know the worst part, Shiloh? It was not the affair itself. It was my family's reaction when the truth finally surfaced. To them, the entire matter reduced itself to one simple priority: keeping things quiet. They spoke in hushed tones around the dining table in that familiar suburban house, their voices laced with practicality rather than principle. Holding anyone accountable seemed secondary, even irrelevant. The focus was preservation of the status quo, preservation of the financial support that my husband provided. That was the moment I made up my mind and left. I wasn't merely leaving a marriage. I was walking away from an entire system of hungry lions that had come to expect me to swallow that kind of disrespect without complaint. They anticipated that I would still show up at family gatherings with a composed smile, simply because the offender was the one bankrolling them. Poverty is a bastard. It has a way of twisting blood relations into something transactional, something silent and complicit. I moved into a new apartment on the north side, a space that felt entirely my own for the first time in years. There was no dramatic confrontation, no public scene designed to elicit sympathy. Instead, there was only quiet preparation. I began methodically documenting everything, every incriminating message, every hotel receipt, every timestamp that aligned perfectly with Lark's schedule at my firm. I met discreetly with a private investigator who understood the value of precision and confidentiality. I transferred every asset I legally controlled into accounts accessible only to me, ensuring that my financial independence remained intact while his vulnerabilities were left exposed. And through it all, I waited with calculated patience. Each night, alone in the stillness of my new space, I recorded a private video diary. The camera captured only my face, but the words carried the weight of months of reflection. Poverty is a bastard. It turns blood into silence. It convinces people that loyalty can be purchased and that dignity is a luxury reserved for those who can afford it. I will make sure they remember the exact cost of their loyalty. Then, with the evidence compiled and the pieces positioned exactly where they needed to be, I set the plan in motion. An anonymous tip, complete with verified documentation and irrefutable proof, reached the appropriate outlets, a respected Chicago-based gossip platform known for handling such matters with discretion and reach. Simultaneously, a formal HR complaint, meticulously substantiated by office records and witness statements, was filed against Lark for repeated unprofessional conduct. Contracts that my husband, Harlan, depended upon for his business began receiving quiet cancellations as word spread through professional circles. The story exploded across social media and local networks within hours. Headlines detailed the prominent businessman's affair with his wife's younger cousin, noting the family's alleged efforts to keep it contained. Harlan's phone rang without interruption. Business associates who had once extended every courtesy now distanced themselves with polite but firm excuses. Lark was asked to leave the firm immediately, her position terminated under the weight of the scandal. The family group chat, once filled with mundane updates and holiday plans, now overflowed with desperate messages. Bills that had been covered without question went unpaid. The financial support they had taken for granted began to dry up like water in a drought. Conversations that had once revolved around unity now fractured into panic and recrimination. My mother was the first to call. Her voice, usually so certain, carried an unfamiliar tremor. Soon the others joined, my uncles, even Harlan himself, each one pleading for me to return. They spoke of reconciliation, of forgiveness, of blood being thicker than water. They said they were sorry, that they had been wrong, that the family needed me back to restore what had been lost. I listened in silence, the phone on speaker in the quiet of my apartment. Then I ended the call with a single, measured sentence. Blood was never the issue. Silence was. You chose the bankroller over the person he betrayed. Now live with the consequences you created. I didn't orchestrate any of this for applause or public validation. I did it so that the next woman who finds herself in my position understands she does not have to swallow disrespect simply because poverty is watching from the sidelines. She does not have to remain complicit in a system that values financial convenience over basic human decency. Poverty is a bastard. But dignity? Dignity is expensive. It demands courage, strategy, and an unwavering commitment to one's own worth. And I have paid in full.